Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, and welcome back to Force of Habit. My name's Ash, and I've been making games under this moniker since 2012, quite a long time. Back in the beginning, I was working with my friend Nick on our releases, and after around 1 year, the time had come to release our debut game, the best thing since sliced bread, Toast Time. We'd made a bunch of small freeware games prior to this, mostly during weekend game jams, but this was our first commercial release, with the aim of making some sweet dough. Toast Time is a wild mix of arcade action, tower defense, retro aesthetic, and zany puns. It was well received at its launch, receiving a 5-star review from Touch Arcade, an 81 out of 100 average on Metacritic, and feature placements on various stores. We were very happy with it. Anyway, now that it's been out for several years, across mobile, Steam, and Nintendo Switch, I'd like to share with you some of the juicy sales figures, and take a look back on what I've learned. And yes, I'll be answering the big question: did it make the dough? Could we bake a giant loaf? Or just a wee little flatbread? Let's dive into it. Toast Time was released on these dates. There's a large amount of time between each of them, but the first version for Android was developed in under a year. We weren't working full time on the game though, because we were a new business, working on other people's projects, and helping hands wherever we could to bring money in. My best estimate is that we spent around 8 months full time on it, but split over the course of that year. To break even from that, if we were earning minimum wage, around £6.50 an hour at the time, we'd expect to have to sell around £16,000 worth of units, or around $27,000. Priced at $1.99 in pounds, that would be 11,500 units. This calculation is how I got to those numbers. Obviously we'd hope to earn more than that, given the high skill craftsmanship involved in game development, but hey, it would be our first game, and it would help us get on the path to creating our second. So, how did it do? I'll start with Android, then move on to iOS, Steam, and lastly, the Switch. Toast Time for Android released in September 2013. It was featured in Google Play's Games to Watch in its launch week, and reached 22 in the paid games charts. Pretty good. How many sales was that? Well, back then it didn't take many to hit the top 100. In its first month of sales, it made £1,274. That was roughly 650 sales. It fared slightly better in October, with £1,556 worth of sales, roughly 750 sales. It dropped to around 100 sales, or £200 a month, from November through to January, and shot back up again in February because of the iOS release, and then stayed consistent at around £150 per month for the rest of the year. Its total year one sales was worth £5,245.53. Its lifetime sales on Android to date is £6,381.74. Roughly $10,500 US. It was off to a good start. Toast Time for iOS released in February 2014, priced similarly to the Android version. It was featured in the App Store's Top Games of the Week, or whatever it was called back then, and hit top 100 in 17 countries including the UK. Also pretty good. Here's some sales graphs. As you can see, its best day of sales was $1,500 in one day, which is absolutely wild. It dropped back down swiftly though. If only it could have sustained that forever. There's a little bump worth noting on February 11th, which is when the Touch Arcade review landed, and another a week later when it was given Game of the Week, beating the very popular Puzzler 3s of all things. Thanks Eli and the team, that's one from my personal accolades. Overall in launch month it made $14,000, in the next month $2,700, and then subsequent months for the rest of the year an average of $150 per month. Its launch year total was $18,200. In the 5.5 years since the end of that launch year, it made $900. Woohoo! So adding £11,000 to £6,300, have we broken even? It looks like it, but no. Both Google and Apple have taken 30%, so unfortunately not. That's knocked down to £12,166. Toast Time hit Steam in August 2014, before the introduction of Greenlight and self-publishing. We'd submitted it to the Intel Level Up Awards on a whim, and it won an award in art design. This one sits proudly on my award shelf. Anyway, the prize of this was I think $2,000, and Valve giving us access to publish on their platform. Awesome. We actually spent the prize money going to PAX to collect the award, and have a blast of a time in the US of A. We hit the release button from our friend's apartment in Seattle, thanks David and Yaprak, and we climbed to the roof and cheered. None of the stats from a release in 2014 are relevant these days, but if you must know, here they are. In November of the same year, we released it for SteamOS and Linux, which I can't find the numbers for, but I'm pretty sure they were a drop in the bucket compared to the Windows sales. There was a bunch more work in getting it functioning on that platform too, which I can't entirely estimate. Let's just say another few weeks of full-time work. We were given a Steam box as part of the Intel deal, which made it easier, but it was still a significant piece of work. The game was written in C++ after all. The Linux version was, in the end, quite important though. In March 2015, after many emails of hounding, Toast Time was selected to be part of Humble Bundle, Humble Mobile and PC Bundle 15 I think. This was 100% down to adding Linux support 6 months beforehand. It was great to be part of a collection of esteemed quality games, and the checks certainly helped too, adding roughly another $8,000 to the revenues. Not much happened for a few years after that, just riding that long tail. We included it in an Indie Gala bundle in April 2017, which netted us £330 or around $450. We also released it to the Mac App Store, which made about 3 sales ever. We updated it a few times for new screen sizes and all that extended quality of life stuff, hoping for a renewed feature on the App Store, but we never got one. It's also no longer on the Play Store for reasons to do with security in particular libraries. Google took it down, sorry about that. Anyway, so far so good. Thanks to these bundles we reached the development spend. We'd broken even. It took a few years, but we made it. Now on to what people really want to hear about, I expect. How well did it sell on Nintendo Switch? Without breaking NDAs, I can say that my total expenses were around £2,000, which includes the trailer production costs, localization and the dev hardware, but not, crucially, dev time. I specifically tracked my hours this time around using Toggle, both for the development and improvement work, as well as the marketing and PR work, and I can say that in total, it came to around 600 hours. That's about 4 months of full-time work. Quite a lot really, but this was the first version of the game to include languages besides English, and it also included a brand new local multiplayer versus mode. There was a lot of work there ripping all the strings out of the game and into a spreadsheet. Using the minimum wage calculation again, this time around £8 an hour, this added costs of £4,800, around $6,400. So how did it sell? Well, on its launch day, it was a whopping 100,000 sales. Not really, it was unfortunately around 40. For launch week, it totaled around 180, and for launch month around 220. This was really disappointing given the hype for the fledgling platform at the time, and the mild success it had found on the other platforms. There are limitless reasons it ended up this way, but I'll leave the should have, could have, would have for a future video. Sales dropped quite significantly after launch month, and sales were only sustained in particular months afterwards because of further sales, discounts and promotions. Speaking of which, the game is on sale right now on the eShop at a whopping 90% off, which should net you a game for like $1, a quid, peso? Do both yourself and myself a favour and snap it up. Please? Lifetime sales on Switch to date has brought in £2,065.75, which means this part of the game has not broken even. It's a net loss. That is despite the legendary Jeff Goldblum liking the tweet and scraping a 70 on Metacritic. Sorry Jeff mate, your influence is not as strong as I believed it would be. Whew. So did it actually make money or not? Certainly some bits did, and some bits didn't. If we cheat a little bit and add everything together, it seems like it has, ultimately, just missed the mark. If we just think about the original release, definitely. Did we put that money into making our second game? Yes. Did that one make money? No. But that's a story for another time. What did I learn along the way? Quite a lot. I learnt that a good game can sell poorly, even a game with previous success and numerous awards. Success won't just follow you around. I learnt not to run sales too early. We did one for iOS at launch, at 50% off. I'm pretty sure this impacted the sales after launch month. And finally, I learnt that making money is possible, but becoming a millionaire is very unlikely. If you're making games in your spare time, it's not worth quitting your day job until you find your first success. If you're making games full time, brilliant! Keep that cash flowing with ancillary work, and I wish you the best of luck with your release. Truly. Steam is tough. Mobile is tough. Switch is also tough. Indie games are generally just tough. There's no easy route to winning. Will your indie game project ever make enough money to justify the amount of work that you put in? The odds, sadly, are stacked against you. But we all keep trying because we love it. We're all in the same boat. The true reward is in the journey, the things we learn and the fun we have along the way. Toast Time has brought me so many good times over the years, going to various conventions around the world, meeting lots of lovely game devs, making many friends, and you really just cannot put a price on that. With all this said and done, if you'd like to support my work, you can buy my games in the traditional way, subscribe and all that stuff. All the links are down below in the description. But I also have a Patreon where I run a Discord bot that tracks your games coverage all over the internet and posts to your community. Lots of people use it already, it's working really well. Check it out. Many thank you to those lovely patron dev friends, and see you next time.